Hey guys, what's going on? So today we're going to be taking a look at this guy, the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, and I have to look at the back. And the reason I have to look at the back is because I'm a goober and I can't remember Elite Series 2. Alright, let's talk about all the features and stuff and get it out of the way real quick, because you probably watched 20 of these videos already and you just want to know somebody else's opinion on it. Even though we never met, or you know me personally in any kind of way, you should take my opinion as scripture, because I think so. Anyways, yeah, going around the controller really quick. So first things first is this thing looks flippin' awesome. It looks the part, doesn't it? This thing is just sexy as hell. I love the blacked out look of it and all this. But all the features, it comes with extra thumbsticks. They are magnetic. There is an area right there where a key goes in and you just twist it. The clicks, it's 3 clicks one way or the other. It starts with a sensitivity of the Xbox One, and then 2 more clicks all the way over to the other side is going to be similar to the 360. I thought the 360 was too heavy. I thought the Xbox One was too light, so right in the middle is right where I like to leave it. I also really always hated the hats on the sticks for the Xbox One controller, but I like a lot of the other form factor differences, like the triggers and stuff like that. So one of the things that they did here is they added these guys right here, slightly larger hats. They're more similar to the 360 as opposed to the Xbox One itself, and I tend to use these more often than I use the Xbox ones. However, there's some times that you have to use this hat and it makes sense. So here you have a couple other, and this is the one that makes sense, is the slightly longer shaft stick. Just any word I can do to make this whole thing uncomfortable for everybody. It makes sense in a smaller area because your thumb has to reach up a little bit higher and you do want it to be slightly smaller diameter to get around it. Also, this thing's gonna make you feel like a chode any day of the week, so that's bad. But speaking of chodes, we have a stick that looks like a little toad or chode or whatever. I find this really good for movement. You only get 1 of each of these this time around as opposed to 2, because now you get 2 of the regular Xbox One style hats, and then you get 2 of the 360 style hats, and I prefer it that way because 9 times out of 10 I'm not using that setup anyways. But it is really nice for Call of Duty, where I feel like my aim has gotten a whole lot better. On the back you have some paddles. These paddles are magnetically removable, so they just pop in and out like so. And they have a nice click to them. And one of my favorite things about this controller is the triggers. Not only do they add a grip here to the trigger, but now the trigger actually has a variable pull to it. So you click the switch down once and it goes down halfway, and you click it all the way and it's just a hair trigger. It just barely moves. And that's really great for gun response and stuff in Call of Duty. Also on the back, you might notice that there's some connector plates now, and that is for this guy right here. So this is a little dock that they give you, and your controller just docks on it like that. Not that kind of dirty docking, you know, the actual clean kind. And it just makes it so instead of you having to plug into the USB-C up here, it plugs into this USB-C down there. So it basically gives you the front hole and the back hole. Of course, you never want to go in the back hole, except in this case, because sometimes it's convenient. But I try to avoid the back hole at any cost. And you get this nifty little case. And the cool thing about this is magnetic to the case, and then the actual controller is magnetic to the charger itself. Now, you don't need to have the charger in there just to hold the controller in the case, but it's nifty if you're traveling. And speaking of the second hole on the back, they give you a nice little hideaway plug here. So I guess you could say it's a second hole plug. So it goes in there, and well, you can put whatever you want in there, but you know, it's meant for a USB-C cable, so you can charge it while it's in the controller. This is handy if you're traveling somewhere. If you just want to take this and like your phone, since Project xCloud's becoming much more of a thing, you could just take this, a cradle, and your phone and still enjoy your Xbox games through the cloud, assuming it's on Game Pass, because as far as I know right now, those are the only games that are going to be available on xCloud. So maybe not so much. Oh, and you probably watched, like I said, 10,000 of these videos already, and I've got to say, like the D-pad, yeah, there's a little metal magnetic D-pad. It's the regular one and the faceted one. The faceted one works good in most cases, but if you're really getting into a platformer, it is really sensitive in directions like diagonals and stuff like that. You might want to use the regular D-pad. So the fact that it's so easy and you're able to quickly swap it out makes it a breeze. Oh, and it is quite heavy, I have to say that. Oh, and there is a nice like 9-foot braided USB-C cable that comes with it. That seems pretty durable. A lot of these things I have 2 of. You know why I have 2 of these? Because my first Elite controller, I bought it at Walmart. Should have been my first sign. But yeah, I had a couple of problems. So depending on how you press the button down in one direction or another, sometimes it wouldn't register presses. And so if I just had to you know, sometimes you play games and you're not paying attention and you're not going directly down on top of the button. And that's been a life problem for me, is not going directly down from the top. Sometimes it doesn't register, much like real life. And so it was kind of a problem, because I'd be like playing a platformer like Hollow Knight or something like that, and my guy just wouldn't register a jump, and I'd just go off the side of the, you know, ledge and go down to my death and die. Sort of like Super Mario Brothers back in the day, and you literally always blame the controller. It wasn't really the controller's fault. This time it's actually the controller's fault. The other problem is you hear how all these, well, probably not, but let me get close, a little ASMR. So these all have a really nice click to them, but one day this just started getting really mushy. So one day I'm playing Call of Duty, and I use the paddles all the time in Call of Duty, especially Warzone, and this P1 right here, it's not clicking like the rest of them. It's clicking a little odd, and it doesn't feel right. It's kind of very, very linear. There's no tactile feedback or anything like you expect from the other ones. And so after this, I contacted Microsoft and their support, and I was like, yo, what's up with your $200 controller? And they're like, take all the magnetic bits off, take the paddles and everything off, send it in to us. We're gonna repair it and send it back to you. And they also warned me it could take 2 weeks. Which has not always been my strong suit with Microsoft. This is going back to the 360 days Red Ring of Death. It always seemed like it took way too long for that stuff to get worked out. But eventually I got it back, and they just sent me a whole new one, just completely. I don't know if there's like a version number, not a version. English cell. English. Why can't you English? So I checked the numbers on the back, the model numbers. It didn't seem any different to me or anything, but I can tell you that the paddles are working right out of the box. I don't have the problem with the button. And there was some people concerned out there with the actual build quality of the device, and I did run into that. However, I didn't even have to show them like proof of purchase or anything. I just got to them really quickly after like the first couple weeks of owning this controller, and they just immediately swapped it. So I've been using this for just about the same amount of time, if not a little bit longer, and I've not had the same or any issues at all really with this. Okay, you know about controller crud, right? You know what I'm talking about. That's this part right here. You see that stick on that Pro controller? You see how it's just rubbing and it just gets dust everywhere? And I've cleaned it out since then, but you can't get rid of that ring. It's like that ring around your toilet. You just can't get rid of it. So that's just from many hours of play. That's one of the things I love about this, is the actual sticks themselves are metal. And if you look in there, let's see if we can get a good shot. You see that kind of like ring, or a shiny ring there? Here's a regular Xbox One controller, and you see how there's no ring there, and it's got that same problem showing up right there. So this controller doesn't do that, and I freaking love it because it just feels so damn smooth when you're going around and you're rimming the edge, you know? But when I'm using this and I'm just like going like this around the edge, I can feel it grinding, and just rimming this thing is just, it's rough, you know, it's not smooth. And that's been on all my controllers until I owned an Elite. And now I have this nice, smooth rimming action that I've been looking for my whole entire life. But all jokes aside, I mean, it's a great controller. It is, you know, when you compare it to other things like the SCUF controllers with all the same features, and it's going to cost you more for a SCUF controller, which is, I wouldn't say like quality-wise bad in any kind of way. They definitely upgrade a lot of things. They definitely upgraded a lot of switches and stuff in this Elite controller. I like the fact that you can go from custom profiles on this, so they actually have an app both on PC and Xbox, so it'll allow you to change the sensitivity and all that stuff of both the triggers and the analog sticks. I mostly just change the sensitivity of the analog sticks for like first-person shooters. And then there's one that I've changed for Forza. I feel like the stick is a little bit too sensitive in Forza, so being able to kind of like back that off a bit and give it like a little bit of a delay before it responds and turns the wheels and stuff has been pretty nice. Also, that like little chode domed stick has been really nice for like games that you steer in. I don't know, I just like the way domed things feel on my thumb. Okay, but the biggest analogy I want to leave you with today to kind of give you like an idea of how I feel about this controller is, as a Switch fan, I love my Switch, but the Joy-Cons, especially as an adult 6-foot man that has rather large hands, these things are not built like crap. They're built very well. They're just small and kind of dainty to me. And even going over to this thing, it feels kind of small, and you know, it's little teeny tiny triggers and stuff, and it kind of makes me feel like I'm playing with a kid's toy in a way. And so I went and I spent the $70 on this guy right here. This is the Pro Controller for the Switch, and I've never regretted it, because every time I play this on TV, I just play with this thing and it feels like a real controller, you know, feels substantial in my hand. Boy, maybe I just like really girthy things in my hands. It's weird. But that's the way I feel about the Switch right now. This kind of feels like a toy, and this feels like the real thing, like a real piece of equipment. And that's kind of the way I feel about after getting an Xbox One and playing with the Xbox regular controller. This is the regular controller right here. I don't look a whole lot different, but this thing's just a little bit lighter. It uses AA's. It doesn't have the 40-hour rechargeable battery in it. This thing's got a little bit more heft. You feel like you can drop it. It feels much more substantial. You can customize it. You can do all kinds of little cool things with it. This feels much more like a piece of equipment, and the regular Xbox One controller now feels like a toy to me. And that's basically the big difference I can convey between these two. So would I say it's worth $200? No. No. I bought it out of curiosity, if I'm being honest. I could have done just fine with the regular controller. It has like a lot of the same features and stuff. The extra features and stuff are cool. I would not ever go back to a regular Xbox controller if I could. And the way I kind of justify it is coming from the PC space. Between my mouse and keyboard, I've easily spent over $200 on that. So I figured if I'm going to do a lot of gaming on console, why don't I have the same kind of mentality? That's how I justified it to me. But I did have to justify it in some sort of way to spend the money, and that's what I'm telling you. If you want to justify, or you're curious about it and justify the cost of it, that's perfectly fine. And although I did have some bad luck, like a lot of other people did with the controller so far, Microsoft did make it right and did correct it and send me a whole new controller, and that was really great of them. I wasn't expecting that. I was just expecting them to fix the one that I sent them. But that's the thing I would tell you. This thing feels premium. It has a nice soft touch grip. It's rubberized all the way around. The grip goes all the way from the front to the back, sort of like, you know, from head to the toes. The sweat drips down mine. It feels substantial. It feels good in the hands. It just feels premium, and that's the best way I can describe it. And despite the issues that I had with Microsoft, they did actually make it right. And one thing I'm going to say it's going to be different about this is, at least for the next 6 months after this review goes up, I'm going to keep posting in the comments down below. Month 1, still running great. Month 2, still running great. Or if I have issues, I'm going to let you guys know about it. I'm going to do that for the next 6 months that this video's out, okay? So just to let you guys know on this thing, because I think this thing's going to be around for a little while longer. But I can't tell you if it's worth it for you. It's definitely a very high asking price. where I would say with the Pro controller for my Switch, 100% absolutely worth it. I'll tell anybody to buy this. This just because of the price and the expense. It definitely feels like there's a point of like diminishing returns kind of when you get to a certain price point, because you can just get like a charge pack for your regular controller and stuff, or you can like mod it yourself in some cases. There's always a cheaper way to do it. But if you just want something that's feels premium and from Microsoft and all that, by all means, if you can justify the cost, go do it. It's been a great experience, even despite having my low follies with the first one that I got. So anyways, that's it. That's it for my review. Give me a thumbs up if you guys thought this review was worth it. Thumbs down if you thought it sucked. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.